The New York City Football Club versus Red Bull New York really is a dream matchup. The top three seeds of the Eastern Conference are out. And I'm reporting today from Curacao, a little Caribbean island thing. And Roberto Abramowitz is also on an island in Manhattan. So we're bringing it to you, plus a drone story. This could be big in CONCACAF. Not sure, but we've got some footage to share with you here on NYCFC Views Live.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. NYCFC Views.
Collins approaches the shot, and New York City wins the first MLS Cup on their first try, and they're going crazy. Tiene el tiro y gol! Gol! New York City es el campeón de Major League Soccer.
The sickest New York City FC podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Hey everybody, I'm Glenn Crooks. There's Roberto Abramowitz, and we were both happy to be on the call of New York City against FC Cincinnati. You're going to hear a little about of that from our New York City FC network in a bit. And Roberto, I'm fortunate enough to have been invited into the St. Lucia men's national team chord here with my great friend Marco Basucci's the assistant. I've gotten to know Stern John, who is a Columbus Crew legend for a couple of years there in the late 90s. Trinidad, he's like a hero there. He can't walk the streets. And here he is now coaching the St. Lucia national team in the Nations League. And they've got two games coming up, one tomorrow against Grenada, and then one Monday against Curacao. This is all happening in Curacao. So, Roberto, before we get going, an amazing thing happened at training today. So I'm going to all the training. I'm in the meetings. I'm really enjoying myself. And I want to tell you, I've also submitted a corner kick, which could be used tomorrow or maybe Monday against Curacao. I'm not sure.
That'd be amazing.
Curacao was trying to see my corner kick, among other things, apparently, because they were flying. They were flying a drone over the St. Lucia practice today, a la John Herdman and the Canadian men's national team. Bev Priestman was sacked yesterday officially. She was involved with it on the women's side, apparently learning her trade from John Herdman when he was the minute. And this is all allegedly. Now, if she was fired, there must be some substantial evidence. Although Herdman has remained, kind of afloat at Toronto FC. Although we're hearing rumblings of Jim Curtin possibly too. But Dick Advocaat, this legendary Dutch figure, Dick Advocaat is the coach of Curacao. And so let's go. Look, I've got a little footage here, which was taken by one of the assistants for St. Lucia. So what I want you to watch closely and listen to, Roberto, and anybody watching us, is at first you'll see the sky, you won't quite see the drone yet, and then you'll hear somebody shout, "Take it down." That's one of the Curacao. He had a logo for Curacao. I don't know what his role is with the team. Both of them claim, no, they were just independent because a guy on the outside on a motorcycle, he was the one operating it. So you're going to hear that. You're going to see the drone a little bit at the end of the first clip, and then you're going to see somebody running towards this group of people. And the woman in the middle is a CONCACAF executive, and ironically enough, she's from Canada. But anyway, here's what we got.
Take it down. My job.
So
It's nuts. It's like war footage.
That was so the guy up in the bleachers on the left, that was the guy you saw at the end there who's saying, take it easy, take it easy. Take it easy? You're spying on your opponent Monday. And here's the thing. Prior to this window, Carousel would never have spied on St. Lucia because St. Lucia doesn't beat Carousel, but they did in the last window. St. Lucia's in first place in Nations League B. If they win it, they get promoted to A and then play in the Gold Cup, which is, and we're going to hear from Stern John later. Stern John, former MLSer, Trinidad. He's the coach at St. Lucia's. I've been hanging with him, but I got about 5 or 6 minutes with him, and he'll tell you what it would mean to St. Lucia if they were able to win this thing. So it's in their hands now. They've got Grenada. There's a bunch of scenarios, but if they win both games, they win the group and they get promoted to Nations League A, where they get to play, like the U.S. It's crazy.
It is really crazy, and yeah, it's starting to become common, I guess. And now people are gonna have to figure out ways to be able to stop it. But John Herdman made it fashionable, I guess.
Well,
and that's why he needs a punishment. That's why he needs a punishment, right? That's suitable, so nobody dares do this again. Right.
Well, I'm sure there's still an investigation pending there. There has to be. If Bev Briesman,
if he's guilty, of course.
If Bev Briesman is officially sacked, she was under the auspices of Herdman. So I can't believe it won't trickle up in the way it needs to. And but I don't want to falsely accuse John Herdman until all the facts are in place. Unlike the way he treated Nick Cushing earlier in the year without any facts. So let's just play it out and see what happens. And I was hoping to have more footage. CONCACAF took footage, and another staff member for St. Lucia apparently has a lot more than what I was able to show you there. But this all happened within the last hour, so we're just trying to get it all together. So, but I will put it up on social media all over the place. And I'm telling you what, if I can help St. Lucia get point deduction for Carousel to help them frickin' clinch the promotion to A, I'll do it, man. I'll do it. Because I'm saying,
well, first of all, okay, so now that we're being careful, okay, first of all, you don't know really who that drone belonged to. You could assume as much as you want where it belonged to, but you never know. It could have been some bloody teenager that was just saying, oh, look, somebody's playing soccer, and let's see what the heck that's about. You have no idea. Right? You assume that it is because it's become fashionable in a way. No,
well, yeah. And that both these guys had Carousel gear on. So, which of course that doesn't, you can go to the store and buy, Carousel gear. I understand.
You've got St. Lucia gear on.
I do. Well, I don't want to say I'm in, but I'll tell you what, if they score off this corner kick, it could be good news for me. So we'll just have to
forget the Jersey Shore. You're going to be living in Curaçao. Not bad.
Well, there's beaches everywhere because it's an island. St. Lucia. I flew in there first, Roberto. 27 miles. 27 miles long, 14 miles wide. So they trained there and then flew to Curaçao, where these games are taking place. All right, we'll get more to that during the kicking around segment because it's time. It's NYCFC views, so we might as well give our views on the club in New York City. So many fun things about this Cincinnati match. Not the least of which is it was Nick Cushing's 40th birthday. I mean,
yeah,
look, what better way, right? And there was only one way to celebrate that birthday on that particular day, and that was to advance against Cincinnati, which they did. Interestingly, first shot on goal. 7th minute of second half stoppage time, 97th minute for New York City, Keaton Parks. And it was a very savable shot. So once again, some really interesting stats on the attacking side. They had a lower expected goals in this game than they had in game one, Roberto, which was their lowest expected goals of the year. It was, but there was a better sense. And I said this to a number of people, including Nick. There was a better feel of how this game might go. There was more security somehow in this game.
Because they played better defensively. I mean, Cincinnati had over 20 shots in the first. What is it, like 22 shots or more in the first game in Cincinnati? This time they only had 15. New York City had 6. But Matt Freese again. He's a freaking wall. And now that 15 games in a row without a shutout. But you can't put that on him. But this time he was able to get it. He saved 4 shots on target, and to say nothing of what he wound up doing in the penalty kicks, which was fantastic. But defensively, they look sound. They look sounder, although, there were a couple of really good opportunities for Cincinnati, but that's why you have a really good goalie, right? Because good goalies steal games, steal playoff series. And that's what New York City had in Matt Freese. And, it just, as the game went on, you never really got a sense in the second half that Cincinnati was going to score. It wasn't that feeling of dread of, okay, how is this going to fall apart? I don't know if you felt the same thing. It was sort of like, all right, we're 15 minutes away from penalties. We're 10 minutes away from penalties. We're 5 minutes away from penalties. We're stoppage time away from penalties. I always felt it was going to go to penalties.
Yeah, and the additional aspect of all this is I think it was good for New York City. I don't like the best of 3. I don't like the fact that you don't go into extra time after 90 minutes, but I understand why they're doing it. But in this case, I think it was very fortunate for New York City. They didn't have to play another half hour because there were a number of players who were zonked leading into, including Maxi Morales, who needed a full massage, I think, in order to, right at the final whistle, and did not take a penalty. So it was, and an interesting penalty kick shootout as well. One that was described by somebody, I wish I can remember. It's like, it was the best and the worst penalty kick shootout that I saw all at once, because the first 6 were made, beautiful, clinical finishes, and then with the keepers guessing the wrong way each time. And then after that, it was a S show of penalty takers.
It was chaos.
Yeah. Well, let's get
and
back
we like
to
chaos. Chaos is great for drama.
It was drama. But let's get back to regulation. First half, and you talked about Matt Freese making 4 saves. His best save was this one on Luca Orejano from pretty close range, about 12, 13, 14 yards out. And here's Roberto's call on that one.
Y en el toque para Luca. Adeb. Abre por el lado izquierdo y viene a Asad. Asad por ese lado izquierdo. Ahora en diagonal. Se acerca fuera del área. El balón que es cortado. Cubo lo tiene. Toca atrás. Aquí está Acosta. Acosta viene el centro. El balón Orellano. ¡Qué parada de Matt Freese! Luca Orellano no puede creer lo que se acaba de perder. Matt Freese adivinó la trayectoria del balón y se tiró hacia su poste izquierdo. Y el balón lo encontró ahí. ¡Qué jugada!
Le sacó el gol de la boca Freese a Orellano. Disparó a quemarropa el número 23 de Cincinnati. Tal vez ese fue el error. Si hubiera disparado un poco más alto, creo que Cincinnati estaba celebrando su primer gol de esta tarde.
I said,
what did Ariel say?
That. Oh, okay. That maybe if he shot a little, he says, well, first he agreed with what I said, which is always nice. And then he said that maybe if he had shot a little higher, he possibly could have scored. But what I said was Matt Freese knew where the shot was coming before Orellano took it, and he found the ball there. Because he threw himself there before Orellano even shot. I mean, it was just such an amazing anticipation and knowing what the forward was going to do in that point. That was just mind-boggling. It's such a great save on so many different levels.
Yeah, and a lot of times we talk about anticipation and figuring it out in the penalties, but during the run of play, it's just as vital as skill. So Freese was the guy on the night. I don't think there's any question. And then we moved into penalties at the end of 90 plus 7 minutes, and we're going to fast forward. This is going to be Matt Freese's 3rd save. And I think I've said this to you before. Maybe I've said it on this podcast. In the words of Tony DiCicco, the late Tony DiCicco, who was a great goalkeeper coach, was a great national team coach for the women. He coached the 99ers, the famous World Cup championship team, Brandy Chastain, the whole thing. And but he was a great keeper coach and just had a great skill in that area. He once said that if a goalkeeper in a penalty kick shootout makes 3 saves, you have to erect a statue of that player and put it outside the stadium. So there's plenty of time to get it ready for 2027. But here was his save on teenage Hadebe, which set up the game-winning goal.
Hadebe, he's a left footer, orange boots, wears the number 16. He approaches. Zimbabwe is his nationality. And another save! Matt Freese with his 3rd of the penalty kick shootout.
Well, this is quite incredible. Teenage Hadebe may as well have walked up there and handed the ball to Matt Freese. He had slightly less than zero confidence approaching it. Look, Glenn, I've been in this situation. Only once have I had the nerve to step up and take a penalty kick. Only once, and not in a pressure cooker situation like this. Mitja Ilinic has now approached the penalty spot.
Yes, he did. Mitja Ilinic, 19 years old, and what the heck? So why don't we just roll into that, and then we'll talk about the whole thing here. Here's Ilinic on the game winner.
Has now approached the penalty spot. Celentano is chirping in his ear as well. Drew Fisher's had enough as well. He wants to go home. He can't even send Celentano back to the goal line.
Leaving it up to the teenager, New York City. This is the 4th occasion here in the penalty kick shootout that they could end it. Ilinic, he finishes, top corner right, hands held to his head. That's his 2nd career New York City FC goal, mobbed by his teammates. Cincinnati, they've collapsed. Oh, my word. New York City FC. Down a game. They lost here at TQL. Game 1, 1-0. Came back to win it at Citi Field, 3-1, to force this 3rd and deciding game. Matt Freese gets his first clean sheet in 15 games, all competitions, and then comes up with 3 saves in the penalty kick shootout. And it took Mitja Ilinic, the 19-year-old from Slovenia, starting in place of Tavon Gray, to finish for New York City and send them on to the Eastern Conference semifinal, where they were host the New York Red Bulls. And we're finally getting it, Maddie, a Hudson River Derby playoff game at New York City. They're going to host.
Indeed, Citi Field, November 23rd. And yeah, it was a good feel, and you know, it was interesting. I mean, when you win and you advance, there was a lot of joy post game, that's for certain.
To say nothing about the plane ride, which had music blasting the whole way home.
Roberto was trying to watch
canceling headphones couldn't cancel that out. It was
I know. Well, you were trying to watch your comedians, and they were playing. There was a lot of music going on there. Yeah.
Yes, there was. It was fun because the guys were like happy to talk, and they were all having. You know, some of them came back and chatted, and it was great. And it was great to talk to Ilinic because what he was saying, you know, that Celentano tried to psych him out, and Ilinic was like, I'm good. He told him what to do. He goes, you going to chip it? And he goes, I'm good. Yeah. And he says that really inspired him to go and blast it into the upper corner. Very fantastic. Much a la Collins, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Just smack it, man. Smack it with all your might. Yep, and that's what Matty Lawrence saw that. He was he described it as Celentano chirping at him.
Exactly.
And, you know, it was really those are fun moments to watch.
Matty would know.
Yeah, he would know. He's done some chirping. Yes, he's done some chirping. And
he does chirping in the booth. He does chirping on the plane.
How about the Instagram post by Malachi Jones? If you ever wondered whether Malachi Jones has recovered from surgery, he celebrates the Ilinic goal by hopping around his apartment and running, and he looked fine to me.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, there was some joy in Malachi Jones, but he was like all over the place, and I was looking to see if wow, he's really hopping around, man. So yeah. So Roberto, we'll spend more time previewing the Hudson River Derby playoff game next week. We know there'll be Thursday training, so we'll be out at that, and then
Right.
we'll have some things from that as well. Chris Campbell put out a post saying that Nick Cushing is the first NYC coach to advance in a playoff round in 2 different seasons. That's interesting, and he's won more knockout games. I had somebody write to me that's used to be pretty closely involved with the club, and he wanted to point out that Nick has won more knockout games than any of his previous. Patrick Vieira had a lot of difficulty in knockout games. With New York City FC. Ronnie Dyler was the most successful until now. Nick Cushing. And the other note I have here.
Well, Ronnie has an MLS Cup under his belt, so Nick gets one of those. Until Nick gets one of those.
No, there's no denying that. But I think, and I mean this, I think Nick has pushed this team maybe a little deeper than anyone could have imagined. Considering.
Yeah, coming out of the 6th spot, beating a number 3 team.
Yeah.
It's a flawed number 3 team, mind you, but they were still finding ways to win.
And then the Red Bulls knock off Columbus. And then, of course, the scenario is beautiful here. If New York City is fortunate enough to beat the Red Bulls, and then Atlanta continues their upset train and goes and wins in Orlando, it'll either be Citi Field or Yankee Stadium, I would think, hosting the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah.
That would be wild.
Because I actually asked somebody on the team, if it was going to be at Citi Field, if that happens, he goes, we haven't thought that far ahead. So
you have to make plans.
They haven't. Now, the reason, by the way, I'm sure a lot of fans know this already. Hudson River Blue put it out. I put it out on what do you call it, in one of my podcasts as well, in Spanish, though. So 22-5 is the limit at Citi Field for this game. They're not going to be able to find any extra seating.
What's the reasoning?
So the reasoning is that Citi Field was supposed to close down right after, well, not exactly the Mets ending their season, but they have this game. Well, now it happened already. There were 2 games in Yankee Stadium and then 1 at Citi Field of Dominican League Baseball, Águilas Ibaeñas against, I think, Tigres del Licey. So there was a 3-game series, and the 3rd one was being played at Citi Field. So after that, they were supposed to close the stadium down, winterize it, start removing the field, and putting in a brand new field for the following season, which is pretty much what they do every year. But now, so what they did is that they closed the upper deck, and the upper deck is totally closed off. It's winterized. You may have done this in your house at some point in the middle of winter. If you go away for a month or something like that, you got to shut off the water so the pipes don't freeze and all of that stuff. That's what they've done. So concessions are closed, water is closed, no bathrooms, no nothing. So that whole area is off. So they only have the 300 section and the 100 section. And they opened up the seats that are like behind home plate, which are never open at Citi Field. So they've opened those up. And I think the club that's there, that's going to be open as well. But with all of it, it still comes out to 22-5. And that's it. There's not going to be any extra ones open.
So Red Bull supporters will get whatever a certain percentage of that, and to see if they can sell that out. And then the rest is New York City supporters.
Yes.
You would hope. You would hope that's the way.
Yeah, and obviously Red Bull fans can buy tickets on the open market, on secondary market. Yeah.
Well, regardless, the atmosphere at Citi Field, and we've heard from enough people that are on the field during the course of the game say it's superior to the atmosphere at Yankee Stadium. Although, if Yankee Stadium has 44,000, that's different. When Messi and Miami were there, that was loud, and that was
really loud.
But when it's 20 to 22 to 23, it's not as...
It sounds louder. And the reason being, it's easier. The seats are just closer to the field.
Yeah. And then I saw something, Roberto, I don't know if you saw this, and I don't remember who put it out, but I guess this is a public service announcement. Beware of ticket scammers. Apparently there's been some screenshots of things taken that are not legitimate. So I guess I would just say, be careful, as you probably need to be with anything you buy on the internet anymore. But
absolutely.
Yeah, just be careful. So before we get to kicking it around, just a couple more things. Atlanta United. I mean, we mentioned them earlier. 34-point difference in the standings. 4 games below 500. Negative goal differential. So my question to you, Roberto, and they snuck into the playoffs on decision day. It was the whole thing has been a minor miracle for them. I question whether they deserve to be in the playoffs anyway. Now I recognize it's the top 9 in each. I know what the rules are, but I'm seeking your opinion on this in terms of looking at the playoff format a little bit. Look, I'm not pushing Inter Miami to move past Atlanta. Obviously with New York City with a chance now to host the Eastern Conference Final, being on the inside for New York City FC, we're very happy about that. But did Atlanta even deserve to be there? I mean, they were poor.
Yeah, but based on the rules of MLS, yes, of course they deserve to be there. They snuck into the 9th place, and that's what the rules say, and how they did it. It was legit, and that's that. Now you can make an argument that why do we have 18 teams in the playoffs out of 29, and I could agree with that argument. I would think you could do 16 or you can do 12. And I think that might be better. But look, it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue the emotion that was involved on that Saturday. Okay. All the games on Saturday were off the charts in drama. I mean, even, some of my friends who aren't like huge MLS fans were writing me and saying, oh my God, these were 3 great games. And
no, you have to admit that it's because of the drama. Because they weren't necessarily great games, but they all had this exceptional drama.
Well, yeah, great because of the drama, not because it's like, they're not playing like Man City. Well, I don't want to talk about Man City these days when they've lost 4 in a row. Liverpool. Barcelona, Bayern Munich. So,
there you go.
You've got that. You want drama. Drama is probably even better than great soccer as far as that's good. But you can play great soccer and win 5-0, and that's like, oh wow, they played really well. That was stupendous. But when you have something that's dramatic, and it was drama everywhere. That's what you want. I mean, look, before we took off after the win in Cincinnati, everybody had the game, the Orlando Charlotte game, on their phone. Everybody had that game on, and they everybody's looking and everybody's screaming, and then all of a sudden it's a penalty, and they're tying it, and then they're going a penalty kick. Everybody was invested. Everybody was invested, which is why also, when I'm being told in my circle, which is on the Hispanic side more than anything else, that nobody cares about MLS and that the players are only going there to make money, and they don't care about the soccer, and it's a vacation, and that's why they're really going. If they live it the way we live it and they see what we see, their minds would be changed. Everybody cared.
There's 2 players on this St. Lucia team. One plays at Lincoln City. I think it's English League One, and the other plays for a League 2 side. I forget what it was. And they want to play in MLS. So they saw I had New York City gear on earlier. Well, most of them now know where I'm coming from. But and I said, well, I'll scout. I'll take a close look at you. If that gives them a little bit more impetus to take it up a notch, that's good for St. Lucia and getting into the.
Look, if they can if they're good enough to play here, there are 30 teams now.
Yeah.
San Diego FC. Woof! What an exciting name that is. They're coming in.
Then another young man is interested in USL because he feels that's more his level. And so, but it's an example of when you're scouting, you really have to scout everywhere. You should come to the island and see if maybe there's 1 or 2 that, and is that worth the trip? Is that worth the time?
If you get one player that makes your team, it's worth the time.
Yeah.
If you get one player who makes a team and is a starter, it's absolutely worth the time. Plus, I mean, there are worse places to go and, go scout a player. Nobody's saying, by the way, we've got this really exciting, forward or defensive midfielder, rather, in Siberia. Why don't we go up there in December and go check them out? You're like, no. Oh, we have another one in Chernobyl.
Well, that's why there are scouting services that will do that dirty work, not necessarily for an MLS side, but for USL sides. And I've interviewed people from different services, and I mean, they're very legitimate. They came out of professional teams and then kind of formed their own unit. And some teams don't have the budget to plant somebody in Siberia, to see what's going on there. So I want your opinion on this too, Roberto. So Tata Martino went crazy after the game when Miami lost to Atlanta, because the game-winning goal was scored while Thomas Aviles is laying down in the penalty area injured. I'm putting that in quotes. He was cramping is what ended up being the case, but he's down, no whistle, and Atlanta just keeps playing, and then Slee scores the goal, and that's ultimately the game winner. And I think that's and then Tata he compared it to another moment earlier in the series when Miami kicked it out. It was a completely different scenario. I thought he was pretty out of line, personally.
He's totally out of line because his team actually did it. Somebody posted it up on social media, and Messi literally jumping over the prone player in the penalty box to be able to get a shot off. I mean, literally elevates the ball over the player. He jumps over the player.
But just I want to clarify, that was not in this series. That was earlier.
No, it wasn't in the series, but they've done it before. And it's Tata's, it's Tata's team that did it because Messi's only been there since Tata's been there. So no, because the rule sort of, I mean, it wasn't really a rule, but basically if somebody was down, you'd always play the ball out. And then they said, now you play to the whistle. It's up to the referee. It's not up to the players to kick it out. We're not putting the responsibility on them. The referee has to decide if they're stopping play or not. Well, so you play to the whistle.
Well,
you play to the whistle.
If you're in front of the opponent's goal, you're not kicking it out. No one in the world is. That's why I'm so disappointed with Tata, putting such an emphasis and a bright spot on something that was his team stopped playing, which was ridiculous.
It's on him.
It's really
it's on him. They did it. They literally did it. His team, his Miami, his Messi, they did it. You have nothing to complain about. It's on you.
That Messi.
By the way, you're the number one seed. You have the record. You have broken the record for most points. You're playing at home against a team that barely made it into the playoffs. You shouldn't be dependent. Your life shouldn't depend upon the fact that they scored a goal with a man prone, in the top of the box. It's on you.
I wanted to say that Messi lift over the prone defender and then he scores the goal. I think that's his greatest moment in MLS. I think it's great, but don't come back and then say, come on, man.
No, 100%. 100%. Tata doesn't have a leg to stand on.
Get up and play. Bruce Arena ball, San Jose. I wanted to clip some of his I wanted to join the press conference yesterday. I couldn't because of the schedule here. So I'll pull some things out and we'll do it on a future show because Bruce is always fun to listen to. Yes. Here's one for you, Roberto, before we go to kicking it around. Steven Moreira, Columbus Crew SC, named the Defender of the Year. I think if there's ever a moment where the modern defender is lauded in this case, because he's not a great 1v1 defender, he adds so much to the attack as a right central defender in a back three. I think he's I think he's great. I voted for him, by the way, because I think he comprises what I think we all love about Wilfred Nancy's team, is that his center backs end up in front of goal working combinations with Cucho Hernandez. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. So I just think that's like a signal that, it's like, wow, things have really changed. It's not like, I can't believe I'm not Matt Miazga, when he's just a pure kick your ass defender. He won it last year, and now Steven Moreira.
Things change.
Wow.
Right. I'm happy for Steven, but I got to say, I think I'm starting to think that maybe my favorite player on Columbus is Mohamed Farsi. I just love the way he plays. I mean, he's added so much to that team. I just really, really like him. And he's dangerous as well. I mean, their defenders are dangerous. And I'm shocked that the Red Bulls were able to beat them, but they were.
Yes, they were. And I was thinking of Tavon Gray when you mentioned your love affair with Farsi, because, the same holds true for Tavon Gray, I know. And I don't know if the starting lineups are out yet for U.S. Jamaica, which is coming up a little later tonight.
Shouldn't be. It's 8:00 game. So
okay, yeah. So I'm an hour ahead. So so you're at 6:36 now. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're not going to see a lineup yet. So, but Tavon is with Jamaica. He was called in, and hey, it's some big moments here for Mauricio Pochettino. But we're going to get that to that in a moment, because now, Roberto, it's time to kick it around.
Ooh.
So before we get to the U.S. men's national team and discuss that a little bit, Roberto, I am here in Curacao, where Nations League. So CONCACAF Nations League is being held here with St. Lucia, who I'm hanging with Stern John and Marco Busucci as assistant. And they'll play Grenada tomorrow, which is under the auspices of Shalry Joseph, the former New England Revolution coach. And then on Monday, it's Dick Advocat and Curacao. But I do need to reiterate, breaking news at the top of our podcast tonight is that Curacao, now, look, they have not been held to the laws of I don't know what law. I don't know if CONCACAF even has a law here, but 2 people wearing CONCACAF gear were involved in a drone flying over St. Lucia's training session today. I was there. I saw it, so I'm a witness to this. I'm a witness to the guy in the stands who was signaling the guy on the ground to get that thing down, because it was spotted and everybody was running towards the parking lot to try to, kind of corner this guy, including CONCACAF officials. CONCACAF has a lot of footage on this. They've got these 2 guys that they're going to question, and a CONCACAF official was there. It's an official investigation now by CONCACAF. And Roberto, I don't know if they have any rules on this, but if let's just say it's proven between now and Monday that Curacao, the national team, somewhere within the program, sort of pushed this along, a points deduction, maybe? I mean, more than a fine. Screw the fine, man. They should be.
Maybe the coach gets suspended. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. This is all so fresh that we didn't get a chance to write anybody or call anybody and try to figure out what the punishments might be. But there's got to be something, about fair play and, spying, because that's really what it is. So I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe somebody who's watching can send us comments here on the on our thread. We do have some comments, but none of them on that.
Well, this is you go right back to the Toronto FC head coach John Herdman and what happened with the Canadian men's national team, and there's enough information from players that played for him that talked about team meetings and what they were watching at team meetings. And that was the other team training from above. I mean, and then Bev Priestman got officially sacked yesterday as the Canadian women's coach. And she worked under Herdman with the women's program, the Canadian national team on the women's side, before Herdman left for the men's side. So there seems to be a lot of correlation here. And I don't know if Dick Advocat and John Herdman have, taken coaching courses together or what.
or drone pilot lessons together.
I'll tell you. I will say this guy was skillful with the getting it down. He was trying to sneak it down, but it got spotted. So Stern John, he's a guy, I've had him on my show, The Coaching Academy on Sirius XMFC. So I've gotten to know him over the last couple of years. And he's really a wonderful guy. And he just trained the team through this drone thing because all kinds of chaos was going on around while he was keeping his team focused to finish off the training session. And then afterwards, I got about 5 minutes with him just to ask him a little bit about the fact that St. Lucia is top of the table right now with the chance to be promoted to Nations League A and then go to the Gold Cup, which would be unbelievable. So here's my chat with Stern.
I don't think people are probably aware of what an accomplishment it is for St. Lucia to be in a position where coming into this last window for Nations League, you're at the top of the table and in control of your own destiny.
Yeah, I think when the fixtures came out, like I said before, no one would have given us a chance to be in pole position to qualifying for the Gold Cup and for Nations League A. I think we have a good opportunity, but we have two cup finals to play within tomorrow and Monday, so we have to take it one step at a time.
What has been the critical part or the key to some of the success where you've started with this program and now where it's in this position?
I think the FA has supported us tremendously well, allow us to bring in the UK-based players, to gel with the local players as well. And I think it's been really fantastic for us so far. I think for one thing was always solid and difficult to beat, apart from the last game. We got into some trouble and we got battered 4-0, but that's part of football. We came and we were prepared in one way and the team outplayed us in the other way. So we have to learn from our mistakes and like I said, we have a great opportunity to get 3 points tomorrow and hopefully we can continue our work on Monday again.
It's interesting you talked about some of the England players now coming over, and so the program's getting a reputation, so the boys would want to come in. But you have to go find these guys too, right? Because there's not really a high-level domestic league, so getting players outside of St. Lucia is important, yes?
Yeah, it's important. I think the credit to the St. Lucian FA and the government. They have a league that's going on. It's a semi-professional league, and I think in having that league makes our work a bit easier in terms of we can go and find players within the local system, and also we need international players too. I think all the countries around the world are doing it too. So why can't we? I think the international players they have St. Lucian heritage and they want to play for St. Lucia. They're hungry to play. And I think the more successful we are, the more international players we're going to bring into the fold. So hopefully we can continue our success by qualifying for a Gold Cup and for Nations League A.
Okay, the next game is Grenada on Friday, and then you've got Curaçao here on their home field on Monday. So going into the Grenada match, what are some of the key things that will take place in order for you to be successful?
I think for me, since I came here, we have a lot of quality going forward. I think we have to be solid in our defense. I think we have to defend properly as a team. We have to concentrate for 90 minutes, and we have to have to be a professional performance. Going forward, we always score goals. We have no problem going forward scoring goals as well.
So promoted to A, which means Gold Cup. What does that sort of thing mean to the country and to yourself, to the players, but especially to the country if you had that opportunity?
Yeah, I think it's a tremendous opportunity for us, and I think for the country is even big for football in the country as well too, because I think this is if we do qualify for a Gold Cup and for a Nations League, I think this is the first time in the history of the country it's happening, and I think it's a great time to be around St. Lucian sports. We know we had the Alfred Gill, the young lady won the medal, and then the cricket team won a championship as well. So I think a lot of people in St. Lucia saying that pressure's on the football team now, but I think we have what it takes to get there. And I think as a professional player or as a player, you want to play in big tournaments. And I think getting to the Nations League and playing in a Gold Cup is a great achievement for a player. I think most of the English guys and even the local guys, they want to play in a Gold Cup. They're hungry to play in a Gold Cup. When we look at the international teams who maybe join us in the Gold Cup, is a tremendous place to be at that time next year, please God. So hopefully we can be part of it.
Well, you've played in some big tournaments. The World Cup is a big one, but now you're also excited about the opportunity to coach in a big tournament.
Yeah, I think as a player, you want to represent your country playing in a World Cup. We did that with Trinidad, and overseas is going to be a great achievement for me and myself and my staff, because we put a lot of work in. My backroom staff, they've been tremendous for me and supported me throughout thick and thin. So as a coach, you want that. You want to qualify for a major tournament as a coach as well.
Finally, a lot of people listening or watching will remember you from Columbus Crew, MLS, or the all-time leading scorer at Trinidad. Could be either or. But for Columbus in particular, this is a show where we focus on New York City and MLS. What are your fondest memories? 44 goals in 55 games. That's one thing I know.
I think my experience in the MLS it was a stepping stone for me in my career. I think as long as I live, I'll never forget the MLS and what the MLS done for me as a player, as a young player coming from Trinidad as well. I was able to showcase my skill, and it took me to different places in life that I never thought I would have been. I think as we see the MLS now, it's getting bigger and better and stronger as well too. We have a lot of international players, quality international players as well. And I think for me, back then was a dream come true, just to play international football and play professional football at the highest level. Let's say thanks to MLS, credit to MLS, what they've done for me in my career, and I guess allowing me to go international and play football as well too.
So that's Stern John a little earlier today, right after training, when St. Lucia getting ready for this game against Grenada. I think a couple of things there is, yes, if they make it to the Gold Cup. Remember earlier we talked about a couple of boys that they would love to be noticed by MLS, and another boy would like to be noticed by USL. Well, one of the ways you get noticed is you're playing the Gold Cup.
Yes.
I mean,
remember players from Guadeloupe all of a sudden was starting to show up on MLS rosters. Nobody even knew that Guadeloupe had a soccer team, and then all of a sudden it was like, wait, their goalie's pretty damn good. Well, this guy's not bad, and that happened. So yeah, absolutely.
So Stern also just interesting. He played for a very good friend of mine, Charlie Inverso, at Mercer County Community College in Trenton, New Jersey, and they would win. And Charlie just recruited internationally. So when I didn't know Stern played for him until I back when I interviewed him, I looked, I said, holy smokes, Charlie. And indeed. And then there's a player, his name is Peter Pearson. He's going to be the holding midfielder tomorrow. They're playing a system where it's a very critical role. And he played for Harksey at Greenville, John Harks.
Okay.
And prior to that at UVA, and then transferred to Virginia Commonwealth. So there's some, and he was happy to see me because it was more like, he kind of felt the States again. Sometimes it's just like he does want to go back to, he grew up in the Richmond area. He also played for Matt Pilkington in the Baltimore area. How about that? Cool. Yeah, so soccer is a small world, isn't it, Roberto?
It very, very much is. And, you love to hear these stories about these guys who, find a way to triumph. And I think that is really, really cool.
So what's going on? The New England Revolution are going to have a soccer-specific stadium. Is that what I see in the notes?
It seems that it was finally approved. First it wasn't, and then it was. And it seems to be moving it's like in the city of Everett, which I guess is one of the very close suburbs of Boston. I'm not very familiar with all the geography there. So, but it's supposed to be close by. And so it's moving forward in a way that it hasn't before. And they're finally, going to be able to get out of Gillette.
That is awesome. Well, before we close, U.S. men coming up shortly and I'm hoping I can find it here in Curacao. None of my streaming stuff works. I don't, that ticks me off that I'm spending all this money. So I go out of the country and I can't watch a game. Come on, man.
Yes. Anyway. Okay. So here's what I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
And this isn't official or anything like this.
All right.
Okay. You're going to have to possibly spend a little bit of money. Do you have the HBO Max app?
Well, I have HBO Max in my realm, so I don't think I have the app, but I could download it. Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, you pay for HBO and Max.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you do is that you download a good VPN, such as ExpressVPN. There's quite a few great ones. You can look them up, and you got an hour, 10 minutes to figure this out, and it isn't hard. Okay. Should take you about 2 minutes. And then you just put the VPN on your, you're going to watch it on your computer, I presume.
Yeah.
And you put that on, and you point it towards the United States, and it should work.
Well, all right. Well, they've got a bar here with a big TV, and there's been soccer on continuously. So I'm going to go there first. Maybe I would go there first anyway, but I'm going to go there first and then see if maybe there's a way for them to, maybe they have a local, maybe they have a, like an ESPN here or something. I don't know.
It's probably being broadcast internationally somehow. But if for some reason you can't, then
all right.
Get ExpressVPN is really worth it. It's very good.
I'm not cheap. I'll put the money out just to see what happens. So now here, Roberto, I don't know if you caught this one, and John Rojas has been involved in helping me understand this. Mauricio Pochettino, in his press conference, one of his press conferences before this game tonight, was answering a question in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently what he said in Spanish before he went and said his piece is that I hope the Federation will translate this properly, because apparently what he was saying, paraphrasing completely, is that he wants the Federation to, in essence, allow his coaching team to run the show. And what happens is there are 40 staff members beyond his son and his other 3 assistants who are involved in, a lot of the machinations of making things go. But within that, you have certain people that may have directed things before, or he wants control of this team. And all I could glean from this is that, and he's just, when he says, I hope the Federation translates this properly, there's an alert out there that's like, let my coaching team do this. I think. Right. If I've got that right.
Well, I didn't see the press conference because I was involved with other stuff and I just couldn't see it. But I'll try to look at it and see exactly what he says. And if anybody needs the correct translation, I might be able to do that for them.
John, actually, it's been tough with travel and everything. John actually sent me something, which I haven't gotten through yet. I would have liked to have before this, but I was too busy with drone footage. So I didn't put enough time. So John, if you're watching or listening, I thank you, and I will provide any updates if I've.
If John translated it, I'm sure it's perfect. So.
Well, I just don't want to. I don't want to misclassify what the Federation might be doing, but it's clear that Pochettino wants him and his 4 trusted assistants, let's say, not that he's not going to trust other people, to do their thing, and
which might be different than the American style, whatever that is. And look, this is the reason they brought him in, right? I agree with him. If you brought him in to coach this team. Okay, you're giving him control of the ship, and it's you've got to allow him to do whatever he feels is right, even if you may not feel that it's right, because this is why you brought him in.
Yep.
This is what it comes with. That's the whole package.
Well, kickoff is a little over an hour away tonight. U.S. playing Jamaica in the Nations League. So U.S. they're 3-time defending champions, but it's been a little disjointed. And new coach, and he's still trying to figure things out. With the way he wants them to play. And so I am anxious to watch it either tonight or it's getting recorded back home. So at least
we got the starting 11, by the way. It's out.
Here we go. Do it.
Here we go. So Turner in goal. From right to left, Scally, McKenzie, Ream, who's the captain, and Jedi Robinson. 2 holding midfielders are Cardoso and Tessman. McKennie playing the 10, along with Pulisic on the left, Musa on the right, and Ricardo Pepi is your striker. That's how by the way, and this is the actual starting grid that U.S. Soccer put out. They actually, instead of just putting it, like one below the other, they actually put the formation as a 4-2-3-1, and that's how they're playing.
And this has happened a little bit prior to this, but seeing Musa on a wing versus in the midfield is something that Pochettino has added to the formula. I think that's where he sees him more effective in that area, whether it's in a half space, in between the lines. inside channel, wing, whatever, rather than in a midfield role. So interesting.
And let me give you the bench, okay?
Yeah.
So the bench is Patrick Schulte, Diego Kochen, Zach Steffen. So you've got 3 goalies on the bench. Aaron Trusty, Chris Richards, Alejandro Sendejas, Miles Robinson, Gianluca Busio, Malik Tillman, who I'm sort of surprised isn't in the starting lineup, but, great guy to come off the bench. Cade Cowell, who's been playing great for Chivas, and Brandon Vasquez, who plays for Monterrey in Mexico. Three players from Liga MX.
Big night for Ricardo Pepi, man. Let's face it.
Hey, it's his chance to take over, right? I mean, they're giving him the opportunity to say, this is now for me. He's getting the absolute chance to go in and take over the situation. So Pepe so far this season in all competitions has 7 goals and 1 assist in 16 matches. Yeah. So when you want to compare it to others, Christian Pulisic has 7 goals and 4 assists in 15 matches, also across all competitions. And Malik Tillman, who had a goal and 2 assists in PS Eindhoven's 4-0 win over Girona in the Champions League on Tuesday. He's got 6 goals and 4 assists in 17 games. So far, so good. Meanwhile, Weston McKennie, who, again, has been able to fight his way back into relevance in Juve after being told, basically, when the new coach came in, that you really don't figure in our plans, and he stuck it out and again won himself a position. He leads all U.S. players in goals in Nations League, 6 goals in 14 games.
Good stuff, Roberto. And so that's a good bench, and it's a good starting 11. Interesting how it all develops. I'm still interested to see how it develops in goal. If Pochettino feels secure with Matt Turner in there, or is he going to continue to try to sort that out? But Turner's the guy right now, you can tell. So we'll see how that continues. So, all right, Roberto, very good. Well, I'm also covering the Nations League, just in a different part of the world. And
the fact you're participating in the Nations League, you're not covering, you're participating.
Well, I'm going to be
freaking awesome that you're doing this. I can't tell you how excited I am for you. I mean, I'm seriously excited for you. This is brilliant.
Well, I can't sit on the bench because there's all kinds of registration stuff that has to be done well ahead of time for that to ever happen. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stand with the analyst, and I will be texting the bench with my thoughts during the course of the game, and we'll see what happens. But but it's Drone Gate here in Curacao, as Curacao apparently, allegedly, was spying on St. Lucia's training session because St. Lucia beat them in the last window. They didn't expect that, and now they're trying to, maybe allegedly steal some of the things that they might learn from a training session. And certainly you can learn a lot, man. Because I'll tell you what, St. Lucia did all organizing stuff today and all set pieces today. So if you watch their training session, you were an opponent, you could see exactly how they're defending, how they want to attack, and then what set pieces they think they could beat you with. So all that was happening, and these guys had the drone footage. I mean, come on, man.
I know. Hey, quickly, I just want to say hello to all the guys who have made comments today on our YouTube channel. So Kevin Rogers, Jay Blaze 23, our good friend Alex Jimenez, and so to all of them, thank you for commenting. We've read your comments, and we appreciate them. Thank you very much. Even though we didn't put them on screen today, but we do read them. And now Herman Cheverria also just contributed good stuff as always. We like the positive stuff. Hey, something important. Okay. We have migrated to Blue Sky with, it seems like, pretty much everybody in soccer. And it's very, very cool to see what's happening there. So as far as my account is concerned, and I'm there under Roberto Abramowitz, and Glenn is there under Glenn Crooks, I'm only going to do sports and entertainment. I'm just leaving all politics on Twitter. I'm not leaving Twitter. I'm just not doing any politics on Blue Sky. It's all going to be sports, be it soccer, NFL, NBA, whatever, hockey, whatever it is. It's going to be that, entertainment. And so please go follow us. I'm at Roberto Abramowitz. Glenn's at Glenn Crooks. I'm not going to talk politics there. I'm leaving all of that stuff that has me nuts. I'm going to leave that there on Twitter or X or whatever it is until it disappears. I paid money to try to be even more visible on X because, Elon had basically, shadow banned me, I guess. And so, it was frustrating to put something out and just see zero engagement all the time. So I spent some money. It went up a little bit. Now I'm on Blue Sky. I have 3% of the following that I have on Twitter, and I have twice the freaking engagement. It's nuts.
Well, it's been a good spot so far. Thus far, it's going great. It's very positive. It's certainly less painful to be on Blue Sky, and I think we're both kind of doing the same thing. I'm trying to double post and make sure everybody. Yeah. There's some limitations. There's like I put a lot of video out, Roberto, and there are some limitations on the video side. So I've got to sort that out a little bit. I've got to figure out how to edit this down a little bit better.
I think they only allow a minute or something.
No, like it's like I've been under a minute and they still aren't. It's a matter of megabytes or something. There's something else.
Oh, okay.
At play there, which again I haven't figured it out yet. But it's a refreshing spot. We're gonna and every one of your journalists that you follow, if you follow the sport and the people and the publications that put out the best stuff, they're all on there, man. They're all on there. So Roberto's right. It's a good spot to migrate. I believe the Sick Podcast. We are going to have.
We have it already.
We already have it. So I know
it was created, and we have followers there too. So follow us there, so you could always get where the link is and quickly be able to access it. So follow the Sick Podcast, and Glenn adds some stuff during the week normally there too. So.
Yep, and here's who I'm hanging with this week. So Shane just shows me and Stern John because it's been pretty cool. There he is, out to dinner.
There you go.
Yeah, and it's really been fun. And I mean, and this guy's there's a lot of stories that I cannot share. I will just say that I've heard a lot. He's got he's played. Look where he's been in England. Like Birmingham City. Are you kidding me? And then what he had in MLS and his whole upbringing, and then Trinidad. 70 goals in 115 matches for Trinidad. He's the all-time leading scorer for Trinidad. I mean, he's a hero there. He can't walk down the street, in Trinidad. Well, he'll be a hero in St. Lucia if they get to the Gold Cup. That'll be big, even though cricket is the number one sport. Oh, yeah. And you may have heard him in the interview I did with him. He mentioned Julian Alford. That's the sprinter who won the 100-meter dash from St. Lucia. That was big news. She's a national hero here because she's the first athlete from St. Lucia to win a medal at the Olympics. So
and it was gold too. I love the picture you put up of that hanging at the airport.
Yeah, that was cool. It's the first thing I saw. I walked in, it was like, whoa, there she is, and she's on the road, posters, and she is everywhere here. All right, so
she'll never have to buy a drink again in St. Lucia.
That's right. International break. So we have no game this weekend to broadcast, but we do know that a week from this Saturday, November 23rd, Citi Field. We'll get into it next week. Roberto and I will be out at training next Thursday, and then we'll bring you whatever we learn from.
Get your tickets. If you don't have your tickets, I would say get them. This is going to sell out. And then they're going to become very expensive after that. So get your tickets, get there, and make a lot of noise a week from 2 days.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for joining us here. We'll be back on again next week. Shane, thank you for hanging in and posting the things for us. And Roberto, enjoy the rest of your week. For Roberto Abramowitz, I'm Glenn Crooks on NYCFC Views Live.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast NYCFC Views on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.